You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
You are watching the leaders in full immersion gaming, and this is the pregame show only on the NBL Network.
It's playoff time here on NBL Live. Doesn't get bigger than this, folks. We are so happy all of you decided to join us here. The playoffs underway tonight, but first we got to get to the NBL Live pregame show. That's brought to you each and every week by our graphic sponsor, web3ks.com. They do that overlay you see here on NBL Live and a ton of other graphics for us. So if you or anyone you know needs graphics done for an affordable price, head over to web3ks.com. They are the leaders in affordable graphic design. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out with my man, the commish Bomber. Bomber, playoff time in the NBL gets underway. We've already had a couple games. We'll update the bracket in just a second, but we've got wildcard action, playoff time here in the NBL, but we got some exciting news from our friends over at League Crawler. Bomber, let's detail what happened over there. I heard they made a little bit of an announcement.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a kind of a announcement that came late last night. They gave away some of their yearly awards. As you know, we won League of the Year in 2016 for League Crawler. We've won 2017 and 2016 in Daddy League. So we were coming into this with 3 awards. And we went back to back like Jordan 96, 97. And that's what we did in League Crawler. We won the Xbox One League of the Year. So a big accomplishment. Shout out to you guys. It's not just the admin team. It's not just me. It's not just me and Lip. It's everybody involved in the process. Big thanks to OSU. I know he's on the show with me right now. I'll talk to him like he's not. The network director came through big time for us. Did some great things as we expanded our network this year. We expanded. We did a tournament, EA Access tournament. We gave away some huge prizes. We're going to be doing that again next year. We did a 12-hour stream? Yeah,
we did 12 last year.
So, you know, we're constantly pushing the envelope and trying to come up with new, innovative, and fresh ideas to expand this full immersion experience. Because, you know, to be honest, the Madden game, the franchise mode, isn't as deep as we'd like it to be. And that's an understatement. And we kind of make it fun, and that's what we do. And it's cool to see our work getting appreciated by the community. So we won the Xbox One League of the Year. So that was a big deal. How'd you feel about when you heard that news?
I mean, it's just a testament to what everybody who has been a part of the NBL has been able to do. I mean, of course, you did a great job giving some credit over here, but I got to give all the credit to the admin team, to yourself, and of course Lip. I mean, what you guys created. I mean, the backbone of this. I mean, let's be clear. This isn't season 4 of NBL. We're sitting here in season 28, about to go to 29. That was 27 hard-working seasons before this, and the best part about it is we just got so much coming for you guys. New year, and we're not sitting still. We've got some new shows in the works, new format. You're going to see a new format with our draft coming up next week. And, of course, we got the tournament coming up in the summer involving some charity. So we got a lot coming up here on the network itself. But, yeah, big shout-out to League Crawler, one of the friends of the network. Been very supportive of us. And you should head over to League Crawler if you ever need to search for a league of your own, or head over to 365.maddenbombleague.com if you want to be a part of the League of the Year here in the NBL.
Say.
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay, so the new name for the NBL is the two-time. What do you think about that?
I like it.
The 2-time.
I just want to get to 5 times so I can do the Booker T. That's all I want.
5 times squared? That's what we're be at. 5 time. We're trying to win these League of the Year awards. We're trying to take it to Ric Flair levels. What was it, 17 for Rick? 18? Somewhere around there. That would be nice. But, yeah, big shout out to leaguecrawler.com. You can find information about joining the league. You can find out your player rating. If you're playing someone and he's a bad opponent, you can go on there and rate him and kind of help out other leagues from trying to get this player in their league because he did this or that, and you can leave your review. So some really cool stuff at leaguecrawler.com. Also our sponsor, web3cast.com, and daddyleagues.com, a great place to host your league as well.
Yeah, so big announcement there, and we certainly appreciate the award, but we're not sitting still, boys and girls. If you're looking for the pushing innovation, we're going to continue to do that here on the NBL Network. So big shout out to everybody out there who tunes into our live broadcast. Yeah, we got a great game for you tonight. Seahawks and Saints, NFC Wildcard. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket as it is, update you on what has happened earlier in the day. We've had 2 games go final. The Oakland Raiders moving on to face on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the New York Giants going out on top of the Dallas Cowboys. They'll face off against the Atlanta Falcons. We got 2 games left. The one we got here, and then a late game between the Browns and the Bills. Bob, we got some interesting matchups. I'm looking, as we look forward to the divisional round, If the Browns can come out with a win against the Buffalo Bills, which is no easy task, Bills one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs, you're looking at a Browns-Titans matchup. That could be a really interesting divisional round matchup, looking forward and seeing two teams, one team that is, both teams actually having fantastic seasons. Browns with their best season ever, the Titans having an equally great season.
Yeah, and Sonny Weaver, the owner of the Tennessee Titans, he got his 400th career game in the NBL this season with about 5 of us, been here pretty much since day one. So he's having the best season in 400 games in 28 seasons. I think 3 seasons we got lost with stats. We don't know the first 3. So that's accounting for 25 seasons. But he's having his best year of all time. He's 14-2. This is the best he's ever done. He's the hottest he's ever been. And he's going up against top 5 if the Browns can come away with that victory today against the Buffalo Bills. That is going to be a matchup I must see, I must call, and I must be here for NBL Live. I think that's what we're leading to for the divisional round.
Yeah, they still just got to get past that Buffalo Bills team that came into the playoffs scorching hot, winning a ton of games, the team that looked like they were dead and gone. And then, of course, we got the game we have tonight, which is Seahawks and Saints. This is a great matchup, mostly because the Seahawks, this seems like the time when they play their best. May not be the best regular season team. They got in at 7-9 in by far the worst division in the NBL. But we've seen from the Seahawks team, regular season is all about getting to the playoffs. Once they get into the playoffs, they play their best football. Let's look at the players to watch for today's game. And first on the side of the New Orleans Saints, it's Kenny Vaccaro. He's having a fantastic year at safety. 7 interceptions, 62 tackles. He's also deflected 12 passes, and that's what they love about this guy, Bomber. He doesn't just affect the passing game when he's getting interceptions. That's obvious. He's a ball hawk. But he's also able to get in the way of those middle routes and able to deflect those away. And then put all that together with a guy who makes sure tackles. You got yourself one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah, he's top 5 in the team, over 40 tackles this season. Kenny Vaccaro has been a superstar on the defensive side of the ball for this New Orleans Saints team. He's 6 foot, 214 pounds, been a staple of the defense. And this is a defense that really relies on the ball hawking presence of Kenny Vaccaro and other guys on the defense as well, even Marcus Williams and William Gay from Pittsburgh. He came over from Pittsburgh. He's been playing phenomenal. So the New Orleans Saints, yeah, they're 10th. They're giving up 19 points per game. And they're kind of 15-20 in other stats, but they get turnovers, and that's what makes the difference. They don't give up touchdowns. They hold teams to field goals, and their defense can create hit-stick turnovers and get interceptions. They can do it all, and you're going to have to see a big game from Kenny Vaccaro for this team to have an opportunity to defeat these very tough and playoff-ready Seattle Seahawks.
On the side of the Seattle Seahawks, it's their defensive leader, Bobby Wagner. 80 tackles, 13 for loss. He's got 3 sacks. He's got 4 interceptions. He's got 4 fumbles forced. He's got 2 touchdowns. This guy is a do-it-all, and he's the emotional leader of this defense. This is a guy, Bomber, who has led the league in sort of that all-around linebacker category. We know linebackers that are great getting in the backfield. We know linebackers that are great in coverage. This guy, he's all over the place, and he leads a Seattle defense that while their record is sitting there at 7-9, they did end up winning their division. Division championships are no easy thing to come by here in the NBL. But it's a defense that is one of the best defenses in the NBL, even if you don't look at their record, just statistically. Bobby Wagner is one of the reasons this defense is going to be tough to do anything against.
Yeah, so Bobby Wagner's 29 years old. He's about to hit that big number of 3-0, but he doesn't look to be slowing down at all. This is a guy who had 3 sacks this year. Yeah, that's down. But he had 4 forced fumbles. That's up. 4 interceptions, that's the same as when he was 28, and 2 defensive touchdowns on the season. He has been phenomenal, and as I said, Vaccaro's a staple of the defense for the Saints. Wagner is the captain. He's the leader. He's what makes this Seattle engine go. I expect a big game from him. Expect him to be all over the field. We're talking sacks, potentially forced fumbles, big hits, great in coverage, great against the rush. He does it all, and if he doesn't play well, this Seattle Seahawks defense has no chance against these New Orleans Saints.
Well, get your predictions in the chat, folks. We're about ready to send it out to the game. Bomber, I'm gonna get a prediction from you because I gotta say this is one of the hardest games I've ever seen to pick because I got love for both these teams. The New Orleans Saints were the team in highly debatable episode 1. I said this was the team that was going to go from under 500 to the playoffs. They did. They got to the playoffs. I called the Seattle Seahawks winning that NFC West. They did. I don't know who to support anymore. I got nothing. We're sort of at the wit's end. One of these teams is going to win. Who do you like? Is the New Orleans Saints, who are getting healthy at the right time. Ross Bottom came back 2 weeks ago. This is a team that's led by their quarterback, so getting him back was huge, and they found a way into the playoffs. Or the Seattle Seahawks, the season 26 NBL Super Bowl champions, the back-to-back Super Bowl, or the back-to-back NFC Championship appearances, NFC Championship wins. 7-9, kind of limping into the playoffs. Do they have a little bit of that playoff magic to get a run going?
That's all they have. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. That's all they have is playoff magic. When you think of Seattle, you think pitiful regular season team. They're going to bore you to death. They're going to play down to their competition, but they flip the light switch on when the playoffs come. And OSU, what are we in right now?
This would be playoff time here in the NBL.
This is playoff time. This is Seattle Seahawks football time. I like the New Orleans Saints, but maybe in 2 to 3 seasons. Right now, I'm sticking with my team, the Seattle Seahawks, the back-to-back. Just like the NBL wins League of the Year awards, they win NFC championships. They are not going one and done in the wild card. I got the Seahawks 28. Wait for it. Saints 24. It's going to be close. They're going to barely slip by, but I think this team has a little bit more juice left in them, and I think this is the last real run from Seattle for a while. I think the aging defense, this is their last kind of hurrah. Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner. They already lost Earl Thomas. Do they still have Cam Chancellor? I forget. They might still have Cam.
I think they still have him. I think he's still roaming around back there. This is the answer, folks.
Cam.
You're looking at two teams that are just opposite styles. The New Orleans Saints have been built on run and gun. They love Ross Bonham airing it out to these talented wide receivers. The Seahawks are a grinded out defensive team with Thomas Rawls running the ball. You got two different philosophies. We'll see which one comes out on top. We got to get playoffs going here on NBL Live. Coming up right now, it's an NFC wildcard matchup. It's the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. Only one can move on and keep their dream alive of a Super Bowl here in season 28. It's coming up right now here on NBL Live.
My name is Rex Dixon.
Jake Stein.
Clint from EA Sports.
You're watching NBL.
You're watching the NBL Network. And you're watching the MBLN Network.
Empty backfield for Atkins. He's been dropping back to pass here on 4th down. He's looking deep over the middle. He has a man. It's Brandon Cooks. Who catches it, makes a man miss.
Oh, that's
Woodard is coming back. He's got open over the middle.
Wow. That big playmaker ability as he finds him again.
Into the end zone. Another touchdown. This is a fun time here in the NBL and here on the NBL Network, folks. It's broadcast number 160 and playoff time here in the NBL gets underway on the network. It's an NFC wildcard matchup between the 10-6 New Orleans Saints getting in with that wildcard berth and the champions of the NFC West, 7-9 Seattle Seahawks. But I don't feel good about calling them champions. They are champions of the NFC West, but at 7-9, you don't think they can win anything. But sometimes the cards fall the way they may, and the Seattle Seahawks found a way to win at the right point. They got into the playoffs, and that's all that matters for the Seahawks team, because once they get in the playoffs, this is a different ball game.
Well, the cards do fall. No pun intended. Or was pun intended.
Shout out to
I don't
JY.
know where you were going with that, but yeah, it looks like New Orleans is going to get the ball first. So we're going to get the Seattle Seahawks defense on the field. This is a playoff-ready defense. They got the experience. They're ready to go on another Super Bowl run. Let's see if they can get it done today at home against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, home field advantage for the Seahawks, and if there's one word you can describe the Seattle Seahawks defense as, it's opportunistic. They know how to create turnovers. They know how to make the big plays. It's a Sonny Weaver splash play sort of dream with the Seahawks defense. They're going to start out their strength on the field first. We're going to see the New Orleans Saints offense led by the young quarterback Ross Bonham. Hurt for the middle of the season. It's where the Saints team sort of lost maybe a little bit of that edge. They looked like they had a chance to win that NFC South. They ended up falling just short to tiebreakers. Who knows what would happen if Bonham was healthy for a couple of those games, but at the end of the day, they have Bonham back, and he's healthy, and this offense is high-powered. As he is under center on 1st and 10, he's going to hand the ball off to Coleman right up the middle. Coleman's going to get up to the 25-yard line. That's going to bring up a 2nd and 3. Bomber, the Saints team, you look at their numbers offensively, they're not that impressive. A lot of that's due to the injury to Ross Bonham, bring that 21st number of passing, but in the running game, coming over from Atlanta in the offseason was Tevin Coleman, and he has been breathing a breath of life into this running game in New Orleans.
Yeah, when they lost Ross Bonham, it equaled rock bottom for these New Orleans Saints. But Tevin
Well done,
Coleman
well done.
has been able to weather the storm. This is a guy they brought in with a 5-year deal worth $50 million. A couple said maybe the 26-year-old was getting overpaid. I say, this guy's got 19 touchdowns, 1,230 yards, and he's having a career season in NBL Season 28.
2nd and 3 for the New Orleans Saints. Ball's on the 25-yard line. Ross Bonham dropping back to pass on 2nd down. Lots of time. Looks over the middle, a little dig route. He finds Walker over the middle, takes a big hit at the 41-yard line. That's a big catch there from Walker. Nice job by Ross Bonham. Something he's gotten a lot better at, Bomber, staying patient in the pocket.
Yeah, finding Delaney Walker, 35 catches, 508 yards on the season, and just only 2 touchdowns. But he's been a nice security blanket for Ross Bonham as he finds him right there for the second play of the game.
And now a 1st and 10 for the New Orleans Saints. As they're up to the 41-yard line, 5:17 to go early in the game here. No one's trying to take the crowd out of this game. No doubt when you come to Seattle, home field advantage, so important for the Seahawks team. The crowd really gets behind them and creates an atmosphere that's tough to come in and win. 1st and 10. Ross Bonham, play action pass is going to roll out to the right side, looking, oh, and that's a miscue by Bonham, by Matt Barkley, who's into the game. Looked like Bonham was the one who went down with the injury on that last play, so Matt Barkley into the game. Bomber, if you're a Saints fan and you see a B on the jersey, but it's Barkley, you're not happy to see that. Hopefully Ross Bonham's okay. If not, their chance of winning this game just went down dramatically.
Yeah, you look at Matt Barkley's stats on the year. Fortunate for them that he has played a couple games. He has 3 games that he's played this season, and he hasn't looked too bad. He has 100 QBR average in those games, Week 13, Week 14, and Week 17. He's sitting at a 100.1 QBR on the season. Let's see if he can get it done in this playoff atmosphere. A whole lot of pressure, and you know Seattle's going to bring a lot of heat.
Yeah, we're waiting to get word on what happened with Ross Bonham. Now 2nd and 10. Barkley in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers to the right, 1 over to the left. Tevin Coleman in the backfield. Blair coming in motion. It's going to be Barkley dropping back to pass, sitting in the pocket. He'll throw it underneath to Hansen. It is complete to the 44-yard line. Nice, easy pass as looks like Ross Bonham is putting the helmet back. Nope, they're keeping Matt Barkley out there. Looked like Bonham wanted to come back into that game, but the coaching staff sticking with Barkley. Bomber, your thoughts on going with the backup in a wild card playoff game?
Yeah, I don't understand it. Maybe they're just looking for another evaluation from the medical team to get him back on the field. Kind of an rare situation where you see an opportunity for a star player to come back in a very big game for this franchise, and he doesn't. That right there puts some concerns on my face if I'm a New Orleans Saints fan.
Coleman going in motion, 3rd and 7. Barkley, quick 3-step drop, looking for the slant over the middle. Thomas, he catches it. It's a 1st down to the 39-yard line. That one, I don't know what happened in the middle there. It looked like the middle linebacker bit on something to the right side. It opened up for Michael Thomas coming over from the left, and he gets the 1st down. Matt Barkley showing no signs of rust coming off the bench in relief of Ross Bonham.
Yeah, it looked like the linebacker had a complete shot to make a play on that ball, and he just completely guesses wrong. Michael Thomas, 43 catches on the season, led this team with 751 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's been definitely a big target for these New Orleans Saints on the passing attack.
Yeah, Michael Thomas, such a big weapon for this team as it's going to be 1st and 10. Matt Barkley coming out of the huddle I formation. He's got 2 wide receivers out there, 1 tight end, Walker on the right side of that formation. They're going to hand it off to Tevin Coleman. Defense fills that hole quickly, but Coleman's still going to find a way to get 3 yards out of that one up to the 36-yard line. Going to bring up a 2nd and 7. This is an interesting development, Bomber. Matt Barkley, he's got to come in and perform because the coaching staff doesn't have faith in Ross Bonham. I don't know if they're playing for the 2nd round. They're worried he's going to get re-injured, but you sort of think with a wild card matchup, you got to go with your best players on the field.
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at this team right now. Without Ross Bonham, they have been pretty bad. So to keep him out a couple plays, maybe it could be a little bit more serious than we first let on about his injury right now. This is an injury-prone quarterback, and they're always looking to the future when dealing with injuries with their star quarterback.
Matt Barkley, quick pass out of the backfield to Smith. That's going nowhere. No gain on the play. Going to bring up another 3rd down, 3rd and 8 for this New Orleans Saints team. Matt Barkley, of course, out of USC. Coming in the game for Ross Bonham, really a rookie sensation. New Orleans brought him in to learn under Drew Brees. Drew Brees retiring last season. Bonham taking the helm, and they've really been happy with him, but he just hasn't been healthy a whole lot this year. Missed a couple games in the middle of the season, and now looks like he's going to be missing the wild card game. We'll see if he just warms up on the sidelines, if they're just giving Barkley this drive, or if they're going to stick with him the rest of the game. They got a big 3rd and 8 to convert against the Seattle Seahawks team. As we're nearing the 3-minute marker here in wild card action here in the NBL, we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in to NBL Live broadcast number 160 here on the network. 3rd and 8, play clock down under 7 seconds. Matt Barkley dropping back to pass on 3rd down. Looking. He's looking over the middle of the field. There are a lot of green jerseys. They're very easy to see, and Matt Barkley saw none of them. It's intercepted. It's going the other way. And now Seattle gets to take over. New Orleans gets no points on the drive. Bomber, that's a pass that can't be made. And if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, you're maybe looking over there to see if Ross Bonham's warming up, because that one, I don't know how you missed those bright green jerseys on the field. Absolutely.
I was going to say, at 3rd and 8, you're going to really see what they're looking to do with Matt Barkley. Are they going to continue to try to drive the ball down the field as if he is Ross Bonham and keep the offense the same? Are they going to play it conservative, maybe a draw, a handoff, something underneath, and get in field goal range? Well, they decided to drive it down the field. I bet you they don't make that mistake again throughout this game, and maybe we see a return of Ross Bonham, but here goes Russell Wilson handing it off to Thomas Rawls.
He gets a couple on the play, but this one's going to come back as Jimmy Graham holding on the right side of that formation. Is going to back it up to a 1st and 19. Bottom of the Saints offense, or excuse me, the Seahawks offense has been a little bit of an enigma. They know how to run the ball. Thomas Rawls, one of the best running backs in the league. We've seen him have some great performances, especially on NBL Live, but this passing attack has been horrendous. 25th in the NBL. If you're the Saints, you got to think you have to make Russell Wilson beat you, because if you let Thomas Rawls get too much going, they're going to get a little too comfortable with that running game.
Absolutely. Jimmy Graham has really fell off. We'll talk about his stats in just a little bit.
Nice
for the
throw there by Wilson.
Has a
that
nice
proves me wrong right there.
Yeah, there goes Paul Richardson right there making a nice catch over the middle of the field. Looks like an abdominal tear for Delaney Walker.
Ow.
Big tight end, security blanket for this team. So if Ross Bonham isn't coming back and you have Matt Barkley playing quarterback, he's going to be looking for his tight ends in his sure hands. With Delaney Walker out, this just compiles the injury issue for the New Orleans Saints, and that's why they're going to really need to make sure Ross Bonham can get back on the field.
Yeah, it's going to be Kobe Fleener's job at tight end to help out Matt Barkley. We'll see if Ross Bonham comes into the game, if they change their mind, as it's going to be 1st and 10 now for the Seattle Seahawks. Tight end coming in motion. It's going to be Thomas Rawls right at the middle. That's a big hole. That looks like near a 1st down as he gets up to the 45-yard line. Give him 10 yards on the play. Give him a 1st down. Thomas Rawls, Bomber, is so good through contact, but at the end of the day, I don't care how good you are when your offensive line is opening up holes like that. You can basically drive a truck through there, and Thomas Rawls is a truck.
Absolutely, and he's really tough to bring down. I mean, honestly, if that's any other team, 90% of the other teams in the NBL, Kenny Vaccaro's there making that tackle. If he's not there, he truck sticks over him and he goes to the house. So maybe a touchdown saving tackle from the safety, Kenny Vaccaro.
That's going to be a free 5 yards for the Seattle Seahawks. They jump into the neutral zone, and the last thing you want to do with this team, Bomber, is give them free yards. The Seattle Seahawks offense has had trouble moving the ball at times. A lot of the reason why they're in that 7-9 record. Their defense has played well. Their offense has struggled to move the ball. So New Orleans has got to be really disciplined defensively and make sure they don't give up any easy points to the Seahawks.
Yeah, they do, because the last thing you want to do, you want to play a little bit of a bend, don't break kind of defense, because you want to see if Seattle can walk the ball down the field and make all the right reads and call the right plays, as they haven't been able to do throughout the season. Toss play to the right. Rawls got space with a nice spin move, gets down to about the 32-yard line. Now the play calling on Seattle looks the same as the regular season, but you see just a little bit more oomph from the offensive line, a little bit more push from the offensive line, and that's going to be the difference between the Seattle Seahawks regular season 7-9. You saw nothing positive to what the Seattle Seahawks does in the playoffs.
Yeah, another 1st down here for the Seattle Seahawks. The Saints defense, very middle of the pack in that NFC South. A lot of high-powered offenses in there, so they know what they're dealing with when they face a high-powered offense. This one, not nearly as good as either the Falcons or the Panthers offense. But so far, New Orleans defense not playing very disciplined, as it's a handoff to Thomas Rawls up the middle, finally getting off their blocks, able to get a tackle at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play, going to bring up a 2nd and 10, and New Orleans is going to have to do more of that. That's the matchup you have to watch, Bomber, is the offensive line of Seattle versus that defensive line of New Orleans. New Orleans is going to have to win some of those battles and get in the backfield, stop Thomas Rawls before he gets into space.
Shots fired in the chat right now. Jay Vine saying, imagine giving $150 million plus to a quarterback that leads a passing attack ranked 25th in the league. No one would be that stupid, right? Those are shots fired at Russell Wilson, who just got a $150 million, well, $150+ million extension to his contract, and he is not leading a top offense, but what he does do is manage the game in the playoffs, and he provides that leadership, as we see right now. Throw to the outside, Tyler Lockett, and he's a rocket down to the 17-yard line. Russ, 2 for 2, 38 yards. He can make all the throws, but does he make them consistently? No. For $150 million, no. But without him, what do they have? You know, who do you replace? If it took that much to keep him, you've won a championship with him. You've won 2 NFC championships. How can you really let him go?
Yeah, it's always the discussion of, you know, if you don't give him that $150 million contract, who are you going to go out and get? And Russell Wilson is the best option right now for Seattle, as they're inside the red zone as we're nearing the end of that first quarter. Jimmy Graham coming in motion from the right side to the left. It's going to be a handoff to Thomas Rawls. Shakes off a tackle but can't stay on his feet. He'll go down at the 19-yard line, losing a couple on the play, 2 yards. They're lucky that they made that tackle, though, because without that one, the blocking downfield was stellar. Instead, it's going to be a 2nd and 12. We've hit the end of the first quarter. 0-0 your scoreless ball game here on broadcast number 160. Wild card action here in the NBL. This is sort of what we expected. Very feeling each team out. The defense is trying not to do too much. Basically, the difference right now is a mistake by Matt Barkley. And Seattle has done what they've done all year. Held the ball for a long time and grinded their way down the field. Yeah,
they're playing right into Seattle Seahawks football. The way New Orleans has started this game, it's a grinded-out game, 0-0 at the end of the first, but Seattle's in scoring range, and I bet you this is a playoff-ready team. They are going to come away with points regardless. They aren't going to make the mistake that New Orleans made early in this game.
2nd and 12, pistol formation for Russell Wilson. Thomas Rawls in the backfield. Thomas Rawls, wow. 2nd and 12 as Wilson, he's going to take off with his legs, running all over the place, and that's what Wilson can do. He recognized the defense dropped back. He'll take 10 yards on the play, bring up a 3rd and 2. You got to think Thomas Rawls is going to get the ball here in 3rd and short fit situation.
Absolutely. They're going to go with their workhorse, Thomas Rawls. This is a guy that pretty much leads the charge for this offensive unit. Thomas Rawls has been a guy we ask, is he top 5? 167 carries this year. Didn't break 200. Kind of shared the load with DeMarco Murray, who had 43 carries, over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Kind of a quiet season, so expect him to be real fresh during this playoff push.
Yeah, he had a couple injuries on the season, as it's going to be that jet sweep that we've seen lots of teams adopt. That's going to be a 1st down as Lockett gets 3 yards on the play up to the 6-yard line. And if you're a defense and you see that wide receiver streaking across that 2 tight end formation, get ready for that jet sweep. We see a lot of teams using it, especially in 3rd and short situations and inside the goal line.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice way to kind of keep a disguise. You know, you see a guy going in motion, you don't know, you still got a halfback back there like Thomas Rawls. You have to respect him. You don't know if it's going to be handed up, but we've seen it a lot. A lot of teams using it, especially those with speedy wide receivers that can get to that edge and make a nice run and put some pressure on the defenses.
Oh, great defense there as Wilson looking over the middle of the field. It's an incomplete pass, going to bring up a 2nd and goal. Blitz was coming. It was all defenders were on an island there. Bomber, they left him there one-on-one with wide receivers, and Wilson couldn't complete the pass. Going to bring up a 2nd goal here on the 6-yard line. You've got to think Thomas Rawls has to get at least 2 touches they're going to get in the end zone.
Yeah, passing the ball 2 seasons ago, this used to be Jimmy Graham territory. Though he had 7 touchdowns this year, just 38 receptions for 525 yards. To put that in perspective, he had nearly 900 yards in NBL season 26 when they won the Super Bowl on 38 receptions. So you're seeing a depletion in yards after catch from the 32-year-old Jimmy Graham. Doesn't have the lift and explosion that he once had. Let's see if they go to him here in this red zone.
Oh, Adams trying to make the play on the screen pass, but they get into the end zone. Thomas Rawls on the screen pass, and we have our first points of the ball game. 6-0. New Orleans on top. Bomber, I will be interested to see what the New Orleans defense adjusts against the Seattle Seahawks team, because so far what we've seen from the Seahawks offense is a lot of gimmicky short passes, screen passes, drags, slants. They haven't wanted to push the ball downfield except for on that 1st and long. So if you're New Orleans, you got to think starting to hard flat and put a lot of guys in the box to stop Thomas Rawls and make Russell Wilson beat you with a deep ball.
Yeah, you would think, especially with not much to beat you over the top in that situation, you didn't want to see a screen walk into the end zone, because you want to force the Seattle Seahawks team to have to move the ball down the field. You don't want to give up anything easy underneath, any screens. You want to make sure you try to contain the run game and put some pressure on Russell Wilson to make throws down the field. We're talking at least 7 to 8 yards in the air. That's when he gets into trouble. But all these little checkdowns, these little chippy throws are playing right into the Seattle Seahawks offense. Let's see if the New Orleans Saints defense adjusts, and let's see if this offense can get in a rhythm and if we see Matt Barkley out there on the field.
Well, like Ross Bonham is back into the game. I think that interception maybe changed their thinking, as Bonham running away trips over the defender. He's going to go down. He had the running back on a wheel route all alone. Nobody over on the left side, and Bonham just didn't feel like checking that one off. He'll take 12-yard loss on the play. It's going to bring up a 2nd and long. If you're a Saints fan, you're not feeling good about how your team's playing right now.
Yeah, the thing about that, the pressure gets to you, and you stop looking 5 to 10 to 15 yards down the field, and you start seeing what's right in front of your face. And when you see all that mean green coming at you, you try to get out of dodge and make a play, and right there he just couldn't.
Second and 22. Bonham in the shotgun with Tevin Coleman to his right. 3 wide receivers, 2 over to the left, 1 over to the right. Blair coming in motion over from the right side. It's second and 22. Gonna toss this one underneath to Blair. Get a little breathing room up to the 11-yard line. Another injury on the play. Didn't see who was down on that one, but it's going to bring up a 3rd and 18, and New Orleans offense sputtering early in this game. Had a nice drive on their first one, but turns out when you take those big sacks on first down, Bomber, it really puts you behind the clock.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're in a situation right now. If you create a mistake, you're compounding what's going on. You're already in bad field position. If you make a mistake here, you're putting your opponent right into scoring range, and you don't want to do that. You do not want to give points to the Seattle offense just because your offense makes a mistake. I like to see them play it a little safe right now on this 3rd and 18.
Well, they're going to get 5 yards on that play as the hard count gets the Seattle Seahawks defensive line. And you see Ross Bonham using that hard count bomb. We know how aggressive the Seattle Seahawks defensive line. They like to get the jump early to get an opportunity to sack the quarterback.
Yeah, and you see him in these 3rd and long situations. That's going to be ideal for Ross Bonham to pick up and realize that Seattle's defensive coordinator is telling them, let's all go. Let's shoot the gap here. Let's go. Let's get on our toes, and let's try to get to the quarterback. They're putting a lot of aggressive play on these 3rd and long to try to get pressure to Bonham early so he can't get anything open down the field.
3rd and 13, Bonham in a shotgun. 3 wide receivers still using that hard count as he drops back to pass on 3rd down. Looking, stepping up in the pocket, just nobody open. It's a sack. Bennett gets in the backfield as Gordon, the free safety, will not be returning a dislocated elbow. He'll be out for at least this game, but the Seattle Seahawks defense standing strong, getting to Ross Bonham. 2 sacks on that drive, and now Seattle Seahawks offense, which has had trouble moving the ball in the regular season, they're going to get a gift. They're going to get some great field position off this punt.
Yeah, when you start playing field position in this slow-down, methodic football with the Seattle Seahawks, you get in trouble. And here comes an explosive opportunity here for Tyler Lockett if he can get to the edge.
And he got to the edge, makes a man miss. He's still going, tiptoeing down the sidelines. And Seattle is going to be in field goal range already on the 33-yard line. All right, Bomber, put on the defensive coordinator's headset. This Seattle Seahawks is not an explosive offense. What do you do to stop this team in this Thomas Rawls rushing attack?
Well, first you have to say, what's the objective? What's the goal right now for New Orleans? Let's try to hold them to 3. Let's not give up another touchdown and put this offense in a down 2 scores and put them in a kind of a big hole with just half of a game left. Let's hold them to 3 and then allow our New Orleans offense to get going and kind of get their feet set, because I do not want to go away from the running game. They have to get Tevin Coleman more involved. I don't like to see all this passing, especially when they were in that backed up situation they were just in. They're in some deep trouble right now if their defense does not show up.
Yeah, 1st and 10 now for the Seattle Seahawks. Pistol formation. It's going to be a handoff. Thomas Rawls over the right side, and they finally get a little bit of penetration there. Able to seal the edge there, bring down Rawls for no gain. Going to be a 2nd and 10. That was a nice job by the defensive ends. Might have been a concerted effort. They've been seeing Thomas Rawls run outside a lot. You got to think that was mentioned in the coaching huddle.
Yeah, you want to protect the edge. You want to force him back inside. You want to contain him. You want to allow your linebackers to make a play and not allow them to get out of the play by having them in the box while Rawls bounces outside, and then he's one-on-one going beast mode against your secondary. This has all been talked about in the New Orleans Saints defensive meetings before this week. I expect them to adjust and the players to get it right and have ourselves a great ball game towards the down stretch of this game.
2nd and 10. Play action pass. Russell Wilson's going to throw this one. Looking, great block over the middle. He's looking over the middle of the field. And Williams, why don't you catch that? That's the easiest interception he will have dropped in his career. He jumped the route the entire way. Just didn't put his big old mitts on that. I think he was thinking a little too much of getting to the end zone instead of securing the catch. A big opportunity for a turnover goes by the wayside. And Seattle has a little more life here on 3rd and 10.
And I think that's the problem with Russell Wilson. You don't see the adjustments. The inside slot guy on the left knew he was running an out, but you could tell the middle linebacker was coming into blitz. If he would have put that guy just on a slant and put a lot of pressure on that defensive lineman dropping into coverage to have to pick up that slant, they could have had themselves a big opportunity there. But Russell Wilson does not make the correct adjustments, and now they're in a 3rd and 10 and having to burn a timeout with 2:52 left in his 2nd quarter. NBL Live broadcast number 160.
But you can already see what sort of strategy is most effective against the Seahawks team. They stop Rawls on 1st down, don't let him get anything. Wilson airing it out on 2nd down. Not having that pinpoint accuracy down the field, maybe that decision-making not quite there. And now you've got him in a 3rd and long, and this is where you need to get a stop, hold him to 3 to stay in this game. It's Wilson in the shotgun, all 3 wide receivers over to the right side. Jimmy Graham alone on the left side of that formation. Watch out for him. He's down on the line in that 3-point stance. As it is Russell Wilson, he's going to hand the ball off on a draw play up the middle, and Well, DeMarco Murray, if you were hoping to get a contract after this year, that's probably not one you want to put on game film.
Yeah, a little mid-draw up the middle, and it looks like DeMarco Murray pulled a hamstring or maybe just had a bad step right there. He just seemed like he got stuck in the mud.
Wasn't pretty.
And he fell. It almost looked like he took about 6 steps. He didn't gain a yard, so it's going to be 4th and 10 and see if they can make this field goal. And the New Orleans Saints did what they were supposed to do, held this team to 3 points. Now they're only down 10. Here's an opportunity for the New Orleans Saints offense to get going. I want to see some more Tevin Coleman. And this was a guy that was the engine of your offense early in this season and late in this season. Let's see if you can get him going and create a true balanced attack that Seattle will have to game plan for.
I mean, especially because this return is a nice one. It's going to get up near the 30-yard line. Especially because this Seattle Seahawks defense is the best passing defense in the NBL. Rushing wise, I mean, they're still top 15 defense, but by far their strength is their pass defense. I think they got to take advantage with that with Tevin Coleman. 10-0 your score right now. 2:25 to go here in the second quarter. As it looks like the New Orleans Saints, I think it's going to be Ross Bonham out there probably for the rest of the game. Yep, Bonham back out on the field. He went out for one drive. Matt Barkley led it through an interception in enemy territory. Now 1st and 10. Bonham's going to hand it off to Tevin Coleman, who takes a big hit at the 29-yard line. That one, not one of Coleman's best runs. Should have seen that defender closing down, bounced that one outside, and said he only gets a yard on the play. So we're nearing that 2-minute warning.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman has really been locked up early in this game, and that's going to be pay big dividends for the Seattle Seahawks defense because it's going to force the Saints into being a pass-heavy team, which they really aren't ready for right now. Ross Bonham in his sophomore season in the NBL, he's not ready to make those kind of throws and be that kind of leader early on. He was a late first-round pick from the University of Stanford, 6'3", 227 pounds. You know, he's had subtle improvements this season, but I don't think he's ready to carry this team on his back, especially against a vaunted defense like the Seattle Seahawks have.
Taking a 9 for Bonham and the New Orleans Saints. 3 wide receivers, 2 over to the left, 1 over to the right on 2nd down. It's a play-action pass. Bonham rolling out, looking, and that is the 2nd time we have seen Ross Bonham miss that throw. Tight end on a crossing route over the middle, wide open, and he's missed him by about 5 yards.
Yeah, disappointing. If I'm the New Orleans Saints fan right now, I got my hands running through my hair. I'm scratching my head. I'm going, what's going on? I thought Ross Bonham was the man, but set your feet, young fella. Show you some fundamentals. Go call Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental. Get him on the phone. How does my feet need to look when I'm throwing this ball? Yeah, it's a different sport, but when you got footwork, you got footwork. He looks like he's calling Bill Cartwright right now when he needs to be on the phone with Tim Duncan. Basketball reference completely. Makes sense.
I like it. We're getting all the audience here on NBL Live. 3rd and 9 for the Saints. Bonham dropping back to pass on 3rd down. Looking. He is throwing that one somewhere.
Wow.
All right, maybe Matt Barkley is the answer because Ross Bonham looks absolutely horrid right now. And the Seattle Seahawks, they're making the Seattle Seahawks look like the 10-win team instead of that 7-9 team that just squeaked into the playoffs.
Have you seen the movie Rookie of the Year?
I have. Good movie.
Okay, what's the reverse of that? I think Bonham got that. Instead of his
the anti-Dennis Quaid?
Yeah. So instead of him getting, as the ball gets to a touchback here, the opportunity to get more strength in his arm and become more accurate, he's almost like he got hurt, and it did the reverse effect of that, and he's been completely wild. I can think of 3 passes right now from Bonham in this game that have been completely off target, and then he goes out for a drive. So this offense is sputtering at best. Let's see if they can pick it up. Or maybe their defense can create a turnover or give them an opportunity to get the ball back before the end of this half.
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks team has had that propensity to turn the ball over. Remember, folks, the New Orleans Saints had a pick in the end zone, just stone cold dropped on that drive. They got a field goal. They had a chance there for a turnover. Defense just couldn't come up with it. Now, Seattle, let's see what they do with a minute 44 to go. It's a play-action pass. Russell Wilson's going to toss this off to the flat. He's got a man wide open. It's the fullback out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Wilson 4-6 for 52 yards and a touchdown. His 2 incompletions, both down the field. Wilson has struggled with those down-the-field passes, and so far New Orleans has been very comfortable letting him keep this as this sort of dink and dunk underneath offense.
Yeah, and that kind of plays into the hands of Seattle because really you want to force Russ to try to make throws down the field with receivers that really don't have the ability to make catches in traffic, and he doesn't really want to throw the ball to these receivers in traffic. So if you can create some kind of drop coverage in which you cover the hard flat, but you're forcing them to throw intermediate to deep passes, I think that's where you'll have the most success against the Seattle Seahawks offense.
2nd and 2 now for the New Orleans Saints, or excuse me, for the Seattle Seahawks, as Russell Wilson's in the pistol formation, dropping back to pass on 2nd and 2. Oh, boy. It's never good when you see your quarterback put his back to the field and run away. That's not something you ever want to see. Wilson somehow got that ball to the line of scrimmage to avoid the intentional grounding, and now he's going to live to see another day with his 3rd and 2.
3rd and 2, we want to see a little bit of Thomas Rawls here. They're on the 28. But this was that opportunity I talked about. If they can have a big stand on this 3rd and short and allow the offense to get back on the field, maybe Bonham calms his nerves a little bit. Maybe he gets his feet set a little bit more, and they can go on some kind of drive that can at least put points on the board.
3rd and 2. Russell Wilson in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers. Thomas Rawls to his left. He's going to hand the ball off to Thomas Rawls on 3rd down.
It's going to be
the
close.
Saints, I think they got him short of the line.
Wow,
they
nice.
did. 4th and inches. New Orleans was not fooled by that run play on 3rd down. And, boy, if you want to talk about a moment for New Orleans to gain momentum, 1:30 left. You've got 2 timeouts. Seattle's getting the ball to start the second half. You've got to get points out of this one. That stop was huge, though, to give a little boost to this defense.
Yeah, big boost here. Now, the offense just can't make the mistake of giving the ball right
Thurman.
back or turning it over.
What's
going on?
I watched that play develop, and there was a lot of green space to the left, and he instead ran to the right where there were about 4 green jerseys. Are the bright green jerseys hard to see? Is that what it is?
Well, Zoolander can't go left.
That's it. There it is. Maybe Zoolander is right there at punt returner. He is speedy. Shout out to Ben Stiller. Shout out.
I mean,
shout
did you see him at the gas station? I mean, he was quick with the quickness, spraying the gas.
His agility rating would be in the 90s.
Absolutely.
Awareness would be in the 4s. Not 40s.
I mean, that's nice. That's probably nice. I mean, 0 probably where I'm at.
Look, he can probably get out of bed and realize that he's awake. That's about all he can do.
How much do we give for that?
That's 4 right there. That's the 4. 3, you wake up and you're not really sure if you're conscious yet. 1st and 10. Oh, Ross.
Oh, wow.
The shed right up the middle, and Bonham not recognizing it. This offensive line getting torn apart a little by Seattle, but Ross Bonham is, he looks flustered out there. He's not making the reads he needs to.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is a defense that just seems like they've done their due diligence against this team. And they said, well, we realize how this team plays, and we're going to match up the best we can, and we believe in our personnel. You're seeing these man coverages in which they're saying, you know what, go underneath. We're going to run right with you, but we're going to be bringing pressure to Bonham, and it's going to be tough for him to get rid of the ball.
2nd and 10 for Bonham and the New Orleans Saints. Ooh, the offensive line didn't move. Okay, there they go. There they decided to move that middle line, that defensive tackle. Malik McDowell jumped twice on the play, and New Orleans decided that time to take the penalty. Going to bring up a 2nd and 5 minutes, 17 to go. How important is it for the Saints to get some points out of this drive, knowing Seattle's getting the ball to start the second half?
It's important, but it's not the end-all, be-all. So if I'm New Orleans, I go into the half down 10-0. It's okay. We still have a lot of football left. We have an entire half against an offense that isn't looking too great either, and we believe in ours, and we believe we can step our game up. So there's still a lot left in this game.
2nd and 5. Bonham in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers, 3 to the right, 2 to the left. Hey, give those 5 yards back. Get a little false start. Great awareness on the offensive line. New Orleans, A+ for the first half on coaching and on discipline.
Struggling right now, trying to figure out how to attack this aggressive Seattle Seahawks defensive line, and they're trying to do it through fake hikes, and I think they should just spread them out. You know, go 4 wide, go 5 wide, and just say, hey, send the heat. I'm going to get rid of the ball quick, and let's see where it plays out from there. Let's say your best versus my best, and let's see how it rocks from that situation standpoint.
Well, 2nd and 10, Bonham dropping back to pass, looking. He's got a lot of space to take off if he wants to, but he's still keeping his eyes outfield. He has a man. It's Michael Thomas. A big play. Juke move. Michael Thomas back inside of the 29-yard line. Bonham finally completes a pass down the field, and who else but Michael Thomas? Oh, Mr. Reliable for this New Orleans Saints offense. They're in business inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah, see what happens there. They block the tight end and the halfback. Instead, I was saying spread them out and just send more routes. They do the opposite. They condense the amount of routes and send more people in the block. It gives them a little bit of time, and he finds a crossing route wide open to Michael Thomas, their #1 receiver for this New Orleans Saints offense.
1st and 10. Bonham in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. It's dropped back to pass. Blitz coming. Picked up perfectly. But Bonham not really recognizing. Oh, my Lord. Ross Bonham looks just completely. Anytime there's a green jersey within a 5-mile radius, he doesn't look comfortable in the pocket, because right there you had the tight end running a little out route from the slot that was wide open off the break. The blitz was picked up perfectly, and Bonham just didn't feel like throwing it.
Yeah, he had a quick out, I believe, to the tight end standing up there on the right side. It was open right after he broke. He did not see it. Bonham looks a little shook. when you get pressure to a quarterback like this that's young, he's just in his sophomore season. This is a guy who has a lot left to improve as a player. He's only 23 years old. He only spent 2 years at Stanford. So this is a guy that isn't really playoff ready, and they're seeing a lot of complicated blitzes at him that you don't really see in the regular season.
2nd and 10, Ross Bonham under center, 2 wide receivers out there. It's going to be a toss play to Tevin Coleman. They're trying to keep the run game going. Coleman's got a big hole. Coleman's getting to the end zone. Touchdown, Saints. Just what they needed. They get into the end zone with Tevin Coleman. A great play call by the offensive coordinator, calling up the toss play. Seattle not prepared for that one. And oh boy, folks, the momentum shifting ever so slightly to the way of the wild card New Orleans Saints as this kick is up and good, and it's a 3-point ball game.
Yeah, you look at this Saints team, if they can just keep Tevin Coleman in the game, as long as they don't get themselves down 2 to 3 scores where they go away from the running attack, this is going to be a big problem for Seattle trying to play this balanced attack as the game progresses. So that was a huge score for the New Orleans Saints, and I know the fans in New Orleans right now are thinking, okay, baby, we got this game. Momentum is changing. It's our time now.
JY in the chat saying, so it looks like the NFC West isn't technically the worst. No, you're 100% wrong. Just like the Cardinals being at 13 in the initial Bleacher Report power rankings, you're wrong. The NFC West is still the worst. I can't.
You gotta let that go, Nick.
I can't do it. I can't let it go. I'll let it go in season 29. It's still relevant now, and the NFC West is still the worst division in the NBL because it turns out when you have no winning records, you're the worst. I'm sorry, I don't care what happens on the field. Any given Sunday here in the NBL doesn't mean you can be let off the hook for that terrible division. 3 yards on the play.
You're getting your inner Chris Berman on right now.
Yeah, I got a little bit. I felt it there. Back.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Hey, there was an opportunity there on that wild card run right there that could have really taken it to the house, but he didn't bounce outside. He followed his blockers just a little too much.
Yeah, a little toss play over there. I think Seattle just trying to see if they can make something happen with the Rawls is they're going to go into halftime. 10-7 to score. Seattle is going to get the ball, but right now, that New Orleans Saints team, that touchdown was huge. This offense was going nowhere. They finally found something, a couple deep plays, and then a toss to Tevin Coleman. Coleman gets in the end zone, and at the end of the day, it's a 3-point ball game. And Bomber, how important is it for a young quarterback like Ross Bonham just to get in the end zone, get it to a 3-point game? He's got to feel like a whole weight is off his chest.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously ran it in with a toss play as the special teams from Seattle bounces it outside. They got room, nowhere to go. User spin. Oh, no,
he's still going.
Wow, that was a looseness out of his best. It almost tricked me. I thought he was down, but he stayed on his feet and got himself to the 38-yard line. Here's the deal. So Bonham takes away. What does he take away from that drive that ended up with a toss touchdown to Tevin Coleman? He takes away the opportunity that said, hey, man, I made a couple adjustments on a couple plays previous to that really got us down the field. I made a big throw to Michael Thomas after I blocked the tight end and the halfback. I adjusted to the blitz. That right there is enough confidence for him to take into halftime and say, all right, I got my feet wet in this playoff thing that they have in the NBL, and now I got an opportunity as Thomas Rawls coming out and saying, I'm trying to take this game over right now and take this win for my Seattle Seahawks.
9 carries for 33 yards. New Orleans kind of had him under wraps, but they've given up a couple chunk runs like that, those 10-yard runs. It seems like, I mean, those 3-man fronts just aren't doing it for New Orleans right now as the offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks open up some holes for Thomas Rawls. We appreciate each and every one of you, though, tuning into NBL Live Wildcard action. Again, folks, if you're first time joining us, first of all, welcome to the NBL Network. We're going to be broadcasting every round of the playoffs. That's right. We got divisional round. We'll have a doubleheader, both championship games right here on the network. And, of course, our Super Bowl broadcast, one of our biggest broadcasts of the year, as that toss play goes nowhere. Great early penetration by Jordan to get in the backfield and bring down Thomas Rawls for no gain. Bomber, if you're a fan of the NBL Network, this is the time to tune in because not only do we have every round of the playoffs, we've got our NBL rookie draft for season 29 coming up next week. It's a great time to be on the network and to be a subscriber.
Absolutely. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button on this game if you are subscribed, and watch our other content. We got Building the Franchise, a lot of offline stuff, highly debatable, Commissioner Corner podcast. You get to see the Jaguars. You get to see the Lions. You get to see all these great things, NBL Live play-by-play broadcast. A lot of videos. Make sure you're checking the email to see when we go live on these games as Thomas Rawls going in
shakes off the defender.
I call him beast mode, but he's acting like the man out there and everybody else's boys as he's running over the entire defense of this New Orleans Saints. What do you think was said at the halftime locker room speech for the Seattle Seahawks? What do you think they told their team, specifically Thomas Rawls?
You got to imagine the Seattle Seahawks mantra all season and really for this whole cycle has been disrespect. I mean, the Seahawks have been counting out every step of the way. They found their way into the playoffs. They know they're the best team in the playoffs, and you got to think in the halftime they were telling Thomas Rawls and this entire team, they don't believe we can win. Let's go out and prove to them that we can. As on 3rd and 5, Russell Wilson going, no thank you, I don't want to win. He threw that ball near nobody, and now the Seattle Seahawks are going to be forced to punt the ball back to the New Orleans Saints coming off that big touchdown.
Yeah, that's kind of that's a tough situation. You see the cover two, the two high safeties. You try to split it with the tight end on the seam. That's Jimmy Graham. That's your $150 million man, and you get a throw like that. I mean, that's just pretty pathetic to get him off the field. Well, New Orleans, you caught a break. You were looking for a break early in this third quarter. Now you're getting the ball back to you. What can you do? What can the Saints do right now to get them over this hump and give them their first lead in the playoffs that Eric G., the owner of the Saints, has ever had in his franchise? He's never led in a playoff game before.
Well, hey, the question.
NBL facts.
Yeah, that's good NBL facts. Is Jay Vines in the chat asking, when is the draft going to be? I believe we're looking at next Wednesday or Thursday, depending. I think it's Thursday. Is that we're looking? Thursday will be the NBL draft. Got a new format coming out, folks. It should be a lot of fun. Going to have a lot of personalities on here talking about the first round of the NBL draft, full pick-by-pick analysis. So if you're a fan of the NBL, it's a great show here on the network. So tune into that one live on Thursday night.
Or if you hate the NBL,
or if you hate them,
hate it, and
tune in. Let us know.
Down, it might turn into a disaster, and you might want to be there to witness the disaster, which is the NBL rookie draft. Potentially could be, because you never know what could happen.
1st and 10.
That's a lie.
Play clock. Handoff to Tevin Coleman. It's a loss of 2 yards on the play. Yeah, we don't really care. If you like us, tune in. If you hate us, come give us that thumb down, but give us that view, because we really appreciate it.
All about the views, baby. We need the views.
Bananas in the everyone's bringing up Paysinger. Everyone's bringing up Paysinger. And you know, in this year's draft, we'll have our Paysinger bad pick of the draft. Famed pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last cycle. Number 2 overall defensive tackle, Paysinger, did not live up to the number 2 overall. Let's just say that. The bust of all busts. So we'll be... we always give out that Paysinger award to the worst pick by a team. Got to look back to see who we've given that out to, and if any of those are actually panned out, or if we're just talking out our backsides. As Ross Bonham has all the time in the world, he finds Tevin Coleman, who went all the way across the formation, ran back to the middle of the field, finds him for 9 yards, bringing up a 3rd and inches. Nice job there by the offensive line of the New Orleans Saints. They didn't let any of that defensive pressure get to Ross Bonham.
Yeah, it really wasn't any pressure sent from the Seattle Seahawks defense, which is kind of weird. Maybe they're overthinking themselves right now. They were sending so much heat early in this game, having good success, and maybe they felt like the offense is kind of picking up on it, so we're going to kind of start using it more strategically now, which could pay dividends or could be a little risky and allow this New Orleans Saints offense to kind of get their feet underneath them.
3rd and inches, I formation for the New Orleans Saints. 2 wide receivers. It's going to be handoff right up the middle. Tevin Coleman. Coleman needs to get those tough yards. It looks like he does up at the 31-yard line. That's what they pay him the big bucks for. As a question in the chat from Doughboy, who is the owner of the Bucks? That was our very own JY, owner of the 4-12 Arizona Cardinals, the number 13 overall Cardinals. JY. Shout out to Paysinger. I miss that guy. Why isn't he here anymore?
There's got to be a statute of limitations once you bring that up.
It's one season. As I said, season 29, we're done.
A limited amount of times.
Yeah, it was just this. I mean, unless he puts him back at 13.
You're on too many shows for that. No, you're on the face of too many shows. You even guest.
Hey, you see my mug a lot.
Corner podcast.
Yeah,
that's 3 outlets this week. You had an opportunity to bring it up.
The statute of limitations is based on a length of time. It's not based on a number of shows, folks. 1st and 10, empty backfield. Ross Bonham dropping back to pass. Toss it underneath to Michael Thomas, who's going to get up near the first down marker to the 39-yard line. Give him 7 on the play. Give him 9 on the play. Get to his 2nd and 1. This defensive line of the Seattle Seahawks was in the backfield the entire first half. I don't know what adjustment New Orleans did in the first half or if there's a change by the Seahawks, but Bonham's got all sorts of time in the backfield.
Yeah, it seems like he does. So maybe a little adjustment in the locker room for both teams. Maybe Seattle said, hey, we're going to kind of ease up on the heat early in this game. We're going to see if they can walk down the field and make all the correct throws. Or maybe New Orleans is saying, hey, we're going to block a little bit different and change our schemes and how we approach as you see them block Tevin Coleman, but now they stick him right back on a route.
2nd and 1, Ross Bonham in the shotgun formation. A lot of adjustments at the line for the young Ross Bonham. As 4 wide receivers out there, 3 over to the right, 1 over to the left. Bonham dropping back to pass here on 2nd and 1. Looking, dumps it off underneath. It is complete to Blair, who takes a big hit but holds on to the ball. It's a first down. Bottom 6 of 10, 91 yards, not pushing it downfield, much like Russell Wilson. Both these teams really using that methodical dink and dunk offense, and so far for both teams, it's been relatively successful. I'll give them both a C.
Yeah, I think it's more of a New Orleans Saints have changed the way their offense plays because they don't want to create any kind of turnovers or make a mistake against the Seattle team that they don't believe has the ability to hang with their offense. So it's kind of causing New Orleans to kind of play into how Seattle wants this game to go.
Shotgun formation for Ross Bonham. He's going to hand it off to Tevin Coleman, trying to find some room around the edge. Turns out that right tackle just was not interested in holding his block any longer, though. He was about 5 yards upfield and left Clark in the backfield to deal with Coleman. It's a 1 yard loss on the play. Going to bring up a 2nd and 11. While we have a moment here in the third quarter, we want to give a big shout out, as always, to our graphic sponsor and pregame sponsor. That's web3ks.com. They do a ton of graphics for all of our network shows. They've sort of got their fingerprints all over everything we do. So if you or anyone you know needs graphics done for an affordable price, head over to web3ks.com. They're the leaders in affordable graphic design, and big shout out to all business over at web3ks.com. Appreciate all the work that he has done for the NBL network. 2nd and 11 now for the New Orleans Saints. Shotgun formation for Ross Bonham. 3 wide receivers over to the right, 1 over to the left. Michael Thomas, the alone wide receiver on the left side, is on 2nd down. Looking. He's got a couple people open. He's got Thurman. He's got a lot of room. He's up to the 20. He's up to the 10. Not once catching him. Touchdown, Saints. The offense that was doing absolutely nothing for the first half of this game has found some life, and they've found the lead here in Seattle. The crowd is silenced as New Orleans storms back to take the lead.
Absolutely. Nice patience and nice throw right there by Ross Bonham, hitting another slants play over the left side of the field. Nice throw. They got the lead, the first lead in the history of this New Orleans Saints owners NBL history. I couldn't think of another word. I already said history. I got to go with it again. But this is the first time he's ever led in the playoffs, so this is a big deal. Can he hold on to this confidence, or will the special teams of Seattle come right back and put some points on the board?
Well, they're going to come out, take that out of the end zone, get up to the 20-yard line, shake off a tackler. Really uneventful, though. He's just getting to the 21-yard line. And now the magnifying glass is on the Seahawks offense that had some success early, working their way down the field. But it seems like every time they try to do anything other than throw a screen pass or a slant route and try to push it past 5 yards down the field, Russell Wilson gets a little erratic. And that has caused this Seattle Seahawks offense to stall on multiple occasions.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, that actually is a great point. Let's see if the Saints, though, kind of change it up. Let's see if they become the aggressors here and say, hey, we got a lead. I bet you they're going to try to be a little bit more, going vertical. Let's see if we can put some pressure on them and see if Russell Wilson will make a turnover or make a bad throw.
1st and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks, as it's going to be a handoff. Nope, play action passes. Wilson rolling out to the right side, looking. He has a man, tries to find him, diving catch, but he's going to be thoroughly out of bounds. Tough play there from Wilson. He put that one just a little too much mustard towards the sideline. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks offense that needs a little jolt, because this crowd, I don't know if you guys can tell, it is quiet here, and this is a stadium that doesn't get quiet too often.
What was he waiting for? I have to know. $150 million. You run a play-action deep cross. The cross that you end up throwing to is open easily before it hits the right hash mark. Oh, you could have bulleted in there. Why he decides to lob and try to lead it upfield, he's trying to get more than he really needs. Take what's given. That was 20 to 30 yards. Why were you trying to turn it into 40 or 50 yards? Just make the wide open throw when it's there, and let's not get cute. You're down 4 right now, and your offense has been sputtering.
2nd and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks. Handoff to Thomas Rawls, shakes off a tackler in the backfield and turns it into a gain of 5 on the play. And let's see if Seattle's able to get the first down here, because New Orleans may be kicking themselves. They had him stopped for a 2-yard loss, and Thomas Rawls went into man mode once again and shook off the defender in the backfield. Now a 3rd and 5 for the Seattle Seahawks in what can only be described as pine sol green jerseys. 3rd and 5, bunch formation to the right. Russell Wilson dropping back to pass, finding a man. It's Jimmy Graham. But Jimmy Graham's not going to get that first down. They found Graham in the flat, and he is stopped a yard short, and it looks like the Seahawks are going to have to punt the ball back to the Saints. This underneath offense, it looks like the New Orleans defense has keyed in on that.
Yeah, and how did Jimmy Graham not step out of bounds there? I mean, that must have been insanely close to the sideline. When he caught that ball, he backpedaled at least 2 steps, and I would have put everything I own that he hit the back of his heel on one of them outside of 5 things. Everything outside of 5 things I'd have put on it. Yeah, sure. And it just really looked, peculiar to me. And that looked like a little bit of home cooking on the ref side to think that he actually stayed in bounds on that pass, but he did. It still worked out for the Saints. Now, can the Saints put their foot on the neck of the Seattle Seahawks and stop this team and this run that they've had in the playoffs and kind of end their season very early?
Alice Copeland in the chat saying, is there a game after this too? We have one more game on the schedule. Won't be on NBL Live. We have one game to fill out the wild card round, but we will have divisional round action tomorrow night. That game is to be determined, as there's a lot of room on the right side for Tevin Coleman. He's up to the 40.
He's been doing
trying to get past the last defender, but can't do it. Thompson makes the tackle at the 43-yard line. But there will be a game tomorrow night. That game to be determined. If you want to know what game it is, go over and follow us on Twitter at Bomber League, or just hit that subscribe button. You'll know when we go live. Should be around the same time tomorrow night. We'll have divisional round action once all the games are finished. We'll let you know what that game is. But that was a nice run by Coleman. He just got to get past that one defender, and he is gone.
Somebody in the chat wants you to do the Ric Flair woo. You able to do that?
No.
I saw you ignored that. No, you don't want to do it.
I straight up ignored it.
Why?
Absolutely. Because if I do it for one person, then everybody puts in requests.
Then you become the guy that everyone...
Yeah, then I got to do everything that everyone says. No. Hand off to Tevin Coleman right in the middle. It's not that I don't love Ric Flair, the nature boy himself. It's not that I don't love all you out there. But once I start responding to requests in the chat, then everybody just... I mean, obviously the next one is to take my shirt off. No one wants that, except for probably one weirdo. And then I got to respond to everything. I can't respond.
Want you to do the Ric Flair chop to yourself?
Yeah, I would assume that would be the next one.
Hey, that's only the logical answer. Guys, go to RicFlairShop.com to get all Ric Flair.
Did you get a little bit of that for that Christmas?
I got that from big shout out to Jackie Davis Delvar in the chat. I don't know if he's in the chat anymore. He might
absolutely
be asleep.
Not.
100%.
He doesn't watch our stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he bought me a shirt from the RicFlairShop.com. He bought me styling and profiling, and really excited to wear it. I haven't worn it yet, but I mean, I look at it daily, just thinking, man, when I'm gonna wear this is gonna be nice.
Second and 9 for the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, you got to love that Ric Flair merchandise. As Tevin Coleman gets the screen pass, shakes off a defender, doing his Thomas Rawls impression, finding his way to the 42-yard line, but he is not getting up. That was a big hit he took. Oh, you got to hope this one's just a stinger landing on that turf. Nice run there, but if it was at the cost of losing Tevin Coleman, I think most people would just want Tevin Coleman to go down about 5 yards earlier.
And there we go. They say good things don't come from Arizona, but the Arizona Zona halfback screen. Nice play call there for the New Orleans Saints as they pick up a lot, and good thing for them. They're probably 5 yards from field goal range, puts them up 7. We haven't seen Seattle really get in the end zone or threaten to get in the end zone but once in this game. So there's a big opportunity here for these New Orleans Saints to kind of say, hey, we're the big guys in charge of this game, and we're going to win this game right now, and your reign on the top as a playoff team is over. Underneath, Michael Thomas wide open. It looks like the strip is coming out, and Seattle might want to switch to conservative ball carrier if you're the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, that's
how open that was underneath.
That was wide open. That cover 3 really dropped back and took away some of that out route maybe on the outside.
Route right there.
Don't talk about that. That is one cheesy player, if I may say so myself. Cheap, but not in a bad way.
Throw it.
Not in a bad way. I mean,
that was the close X drag HB 1899. Don't forget the 99. We put
it's now the 99
number. We put in a request for his number to turn to 99. So it will just be HB99, and it will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And the hashtag got declined. So all that power I have is done. Doesn't even work, man. I can't even get a wide receiver to be number 99. What's up with that?
I'm sorry, man. I mean, look, it's tough running the place. That's one of those. No, God, no, absolutely not. No.
What's that?
Can somebody
what's going
ban
on?
Doughboy? Can somebody ban Doe in the chat? Because he needs to go. He needs to go.
What is he saying?
He's saying I should take my shirt off, and so should Doe.
If you do it, I want you to give yourself a Ric Flair chop and then say woo. This is like a lot.
I don't want us to lose viewers. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah.
Second and 2. Alvin Kamara right up the middle. He's going to get to the 33-yard line. 1 yard on the play. Tevin Coleman pulled that quad, not going to return. And wow. I don't think that means he's going to be playing for a little bit, because when you're running back, you get those strains, especially in the leg area. It's going to be tough to come back from that one and be at 100%. That could be a big loss for this New Orleans Saints team moving forward if they're able to win this game.
Kamara, University of Tennessee, only 10 carries this year. NBL season 27, he had 105. Season 26, he had 102. This year, only 10 carries, 51 yards. So let's see if the young halfback, the guy that's killing it in the NFL, if he can do it in the NBL right now and kind of close this game out for the New Orleans Saints.
3rd and 1, Blair coming in motion. It's going to be Bonham dropping back to pass. Blitz coming up the middle. Oh, Bonham has to recognize that. He is down because he took a big hit right up the middle. Oh, losses all over the place. Ross Bonham I mean, he has had a nice game, especially after he settled down, as this is going to be a long field goal attempt from the 39-yard line. This is a 56-yard attempt. The kick is up. Does it have enough leg? It does. A nice kick there to make it 17-10. But there's one thing that if you're looking at a criticism of Ross Bonham, he has done an absolutely horrendous job at recognizing the blitz when it gets in the backfield and he panics. He took a big hit there that he didn't need to take. That blitz came right up the middle, should have recognized it and dumped it off. Instead, he takes the hit, and now who knows what happens with that injury. That could be a big one moving forward, knowing that Tevin Coleman is down. Oh, man, it just goes from bad to worse for the New Orleans Saints, even though you're winning this game 17-10.
No Ross Bonham, no Tevin Coleman. This was two players that essentially were 80 to 90% of the production of these offenses. How can you actually have any success without them? So if Seattle scores here, that's going to put a lot of pressure on this New Orleans Saints offense, and I don't know if they have anybody left that can really get it done. We're talking Matt Barkley, Alvin Kamara, and maybe, just maybe, you see a little bit of Michael Thomas, but he's going to be so hurt by this, the loss of the quarterback as they go underneath the Tyler Lockett here. He picks up a few down to the 41.
It's a dislocated shoulder. He's not coming back for this game.
So they lost Delaney Walker earlier in this game, too. They lost their number one tight end. Now they've lost their number one halfback, and now their starting quarterback, their franchise quarterback. And, to say their $150 million quarterback, if they had to pay him that would be the guy for the New Orleans Saints. So that's 3 injuries on skill positions on the offensive side of the ball. Huge for this New Orleans Saints offense. And if they can come out and win this game, how far can they legitimately go in the playoffs with such a wounded team?
Man coming motion here on 1st and 10. This looks like the PAFK quick. It is indeed, and he finds man over the middle. Wow, what are those 2 linebackers doing in the middle there? That was a cover 3. The 2 linebackers were right there, and they not only let Doug Baldwin catch that ball, he let him split them and go down the field for 18 yards.
Yeah, so concentrated on those 2 tight ends seaming up the middle of the field. They had to drop back and play coverage. They didn't want to sell out too much for the red route and leave their safeties hanging to dry, essentially. So they gave up the underneath, and they played it fairly poorly, and they gave up a lot of yards. And just like that, Seattle, a couple conservative plays, and they're right back into scoring range with 2:10 left in this ballgame.
Yeah, if you're the New Orleans defense, you got to know your offense is hurting without all these players. This one's going to be the run right up the middle. Only 1 play left with that motion. He's going to get a couple of yards to the 37-yard line. Give him 4 yards on the play, bring up a 2nd and 6. If you're the defense, you have to get a stop here. There is no playing for overtime because you're down your top running back, your top quarterback, and your top tight end right now. You don't want to risk overtime. You want to get out of here and try to get back to New Orleans in some semblance of one piece.
Chances that the $150 million man, Russell Wilson, throws an interception here and ends the season. What do you think? Possibilities? What do you think the possibility that happens?
I mean,
that's the way this game is.
I think it's certainly a possibility if they're going to try to push the ball any farther than 5 yards downfield, because Wilson has been erratic, sort of in that deep to intermediate territory. 2nd and 6. Yeah, his back is to the field. He's got to launch this one out of bounds once again. Avoiding an intentional grounding by getting barely out of the pocket and chunking it to the line of scrimmage. But 3rd and 6 now, big moment here, and you got to think $150 million. Don't want to see your quarterback turning around and running away. This is a big moment here for both teams. Russell Wilson's going to be in the shotgun. Nobody in the backfield. Empty backfield. 5 wide receivers out there. You've got Jimmy Graham and DeMarco Murray on the line. Is on 3rd and 6. He's looking to the seam, and it is complete. It's a big catch. It's a 1st down for the Seattle Seahawks. One of the easiest.
Baldwin.
Yeah, Doug Baldwin with another big catch and another play where Russell Wilson threw that within 2 or 3 seconds of the snap. These quick drops, they got to make Russell Wilson work a little harder to complete those passes.
Doug Baldwin, 35 catches, 669 yards on the season, 3 touchdowns. Nice possession catch right there. Big possession catch. They're in the 23. They're approaching the red zone. Not much field left behind him, but Russell's got some space. He's running to the middle of the field. He avoids the attack down to the 11. What a run by Russell Wilson. He might be worth every penny on that $150 million contract if he can come away with a victory today against these New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, you got to think the Seattle Seahawks are going to take advantage of having an athletic quarterback. Put a spy on that guy because you don't want to see him walk into the end zone while sending out 5 wide receivers on a pass play. 1st and 10, 2 tight ends to the right, 1 wide receiver out there. It's going to be Thomas Rawls taking the ball, trying to find some room over there, and New Orleans defense standing tall, taking him down at the 11-yard line. It's a 1-yard loss. We're under a minute to go. Seattle, they're in do or die mode. They're not trying to score quickly. They're trying to be the last people to touch the ball.
Tony Bradbury, Sonny Weaver in the chat saying overtime is coming. I don't know just yet.
But Shadow Rose with the old counter of INT coming.
Well, he would know. He can sense those. He's got this little, spot on his nose where he can
Spidey sense.
Yeah, exactly. He can sniff out those interceptions coming. Let's see if he's right.
Second and 11, 5 wide receivers once again for Russell Wilson, dropping back to pass, looking, trying to find some room. Oh, he's going to start taking off if you're not careful. Yep, there he goes, trying to get to the end zone. You got to put a spy on that guy. Doesn't get there, but he does get the first down to the 1-yard line.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you watched Russell Wilson take off 2 plays earlier. Why are you leaving Russell Wilson unspied? I mean, you're not getting a pass rush on him. Drop back one of those defensive linemen into a spy and make sure that he doesn't get to the outside. Turn on conservative. They clearly don't have conservative pass rush on.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit more wary here of Russell Wilson jumping out, but not now. I formation.
Now you got to go.
Potentially a handoff or.
Oh, they went for the sneak and didn't get it. He went face first into the tuchus of his center. There is no touchdown there. There's no way to score when you're just going up your center's backside.
I got a challenge for the Seattle Seahawks if they're listening right now. You score this touchdown, you go for 2. Man up.
Do it.
Go for
You're at home.
See if you can do it. Imagine the city. They would be erupting if they went for 2 and they got it. Now, if they didn't get it, they'd probably be erupting as well. But
I guess somebody who faked a field goal, I don't like it. I don't like it. I have PTSD as they're going to get in the end zone. Fullback gets it in, the big fella. Let's see what the Seahawks do now. 15 seconds to go. They don't man up. They're going for field goal.
Absolutely. Smart thing to do.
Yeah,
you got an injured Tevin Coleman. You have an injured Ross Bonham. You have an injured Delaney Walker. I mean, everybody's injured for this New Orleans Saints offense. There isn't much left to say. There's 15 seconds left in the game. 2 timeouts for the New Orleans Saints. Now,
a big return here puts them in. They got 2 timeouts. I mean, 15 seconds is not a lot of time, but you only need a field goal.
Don't take a knee here on this kick. You make sure you run it out. Give your guy an opportunity to get out of the end zone as the ball is kicked. He's going to let it go. I would have ran that out.
What do you care if you get tackled at the 15-yard line? I mean, who cares?
Absolutely.
Well, let's see what the Saints decide to do. 15 seconds to go. They've got 2 timeouts. 17-17 ball game. We look headed to overtime here on NBL Live. Playoffs underway with a bang here. And again, we will be broadcasting every round of the playoffs here on the network. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you know each and every time we're live. We got a lot of great shows coming up, including our doubleheader of the conference championship games and then our Super Bowl broadcast, which is one of the biggest broadcasts here on the NBL network. 17-17 your score. It looks like New Orleans coming out Wildcat formation. Alvin Kamara is going to be taking the snap here.
As long as I don't see a fumble here, I'm okay.
Cherry coming in motion, and they're going to hand it off to Cherry, try to cut up the middle. Yeah, nothing doing there, and it looks like New Orleans is just going to let this clock run down and head to overtime here on the road. A back-and-forth affair as we head to overtime. 17-17 your score. Post in the chat right now who you think is going to win this game. Is it hashtag Saints or hashtag Seahawks? Bomber, Seahawks have a little bit of momentum right now after they just drove down the field and tied up the game. They're here at home. Do you like the home team? You sticking with your Seahawks pick?
I'm going hashtag C-Saints, baby. It's going to be a little bit of Seattle, a little bit of New Orleans. They're both going to come together and get this W.
Hey, you got to say, there's got to be a fan of this right now. That fan is going to be Donovan McNabb because there actually is double overtime in the playoffs. Like, it doesn't just end in the tie game.
Absolutely.
Unlike the regular season.
Win.
Someone has to win. As it's going to be the Saints winning that toss. They're going to get the ball. Now the big question mark is this New Orleans Saints offense. No Ross Bonham, out for the game. No Tevin Coleman, out for the game. No Delaney Walker, out for the game. Michael Thomas is still there, but he's got to be looking around going, this huddle's pretty empty right now.
Yeah, definitely. Not the same teammates you see at the beginning of this game to right now, depleted. So I don't know if accepting this ball, maybe they should have kicked the ball. Maybe they should have kicked the ball and let their defense play a little bit of field position.
Who did that?
And kick the field goal.
Was that Marty Morningwig who did that with the Lions? He chose to kick.
I don't remember.
He picked the win.
The Patriots did it once.
He picked the win and lost.
It probably didn't work out for them.
They lost real good.
Yeah.
I think it was Marty Morningwig. Handoff up the middle. Alvin Kamara's got a little bit of room as he slips through a tackle, able to get to the 26-yard line. 6 yards on the play. Going to bring up a 2nd and 4. Be interesting to watch the New Orleans Saints on this drive if they ride Alvin Kamara because at the end of the day, Matt Barkley, well, he's played a couple games. This is not an unproven quarterback. It's just, do you want to put the ball in the hands of the guy who's thrown the only interception for the New Orleans Saints in this game?
Yeah, how much you want to throw it, and you don't have your safety blanket, your sure-handed tight end Delaney Walker from the Tennessee Titans. they let him go, and they said some high praises about him. He was a great player for them. He had a pretty good season and a nice production for the New Orleans Saints, but he's gone. Let's see if they stay with this power run or they start trying to throw the ball with Matt Barkley.
They're trying to get Alvin Kamara to the outside. Not a whole lot there, maybe a yard. Now a big third down here. As the Grid Steelers in the chat, Hasselbeck was worse. Absolutely. Matt Hasselbeck taking that ball, going, we'll take the ball and we're going to score, and then he throws a pick six. Funniest moment I've ever seen in overtime. It's absolutely amazing. I loved it. 3rd and 3 now for the New Orleans Saints. Bomber, what are you doing with this makeshift offense you have on the field right now?
You have to be getting creative. 3rd and 3, you got to expect the hard flats are going to come. They're going to let Matt Barkley have to make a throw down the field. Now, is he ready to make that throw? If I'm New Orleans right now, I come out, I send a couple drags, but I look deep down the field. I think they're going to hard flat this team and allow a C route or something over the middle to get open. And I just have a feeling that Matt Barkley's opportunity to make a big play right now in the playoffs happens right now in this 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3, Barkley under center, 3 wide receivers out there. Play clock running down, 1 second to go. He just gets it off. Looking over the middle of the field, and there it is, Michael Thomas at the 47-yard line. They certainly looked like they were hard flattened there. They weren't at least ready for the post route over the middle, and who else but Michael Thomas, 5 catches, 98 yards. He has been a savior for this New Orleans Saints offense so far.
Yeah, you see that post against the cover 3. That it was a little cover 3 roll. It showed like it was a cover 2, but they weren't quick enough to really defend against the slot post, so it essentially split the safeties as if it was cover 2. So you showed cover 2. It wasn't cover 3, but you couldn't get into the cover 3, so the slot post beat you over the middle of the field. And I just had a feeling that they were going to hard flat and play a little bit aggressive right there, and it was going to allow Matt Barkley to make a throw.
1st and 10, handoff to Alvin Kamara right up the middle, and the defensive line of the Seattle Seahawks made a nice play there, able to get in the backfield. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10. Again, if you missed the first part of the game, you missed a good one. 17-17, we're in overtime here. Wild card action. I'm OSU. I'm hanging with my man, the commish Bomber. New Orleans, they lost their starting quarterback, Ross Bonham, dislocated shoulder. They lost their starting running back, Tevin Coleman. They also lost their starting tight end, Delaney Walker, all in this game. Injuries galore, but they managed to get to overtime. They had a lead late in the game, but Seattle was able to tie it up with under 20 seconds to go. As it's a little screen pass to Kamara, a little shovel pitch over there. It's going to get down to the 46-yard line, bring up another 3rd and short. New Orleans done a real nice job, Bomber, getting into these 3rd and manageables. We haven't seen a whole lot of 3rd and longs for this offense.
Same opportunity here. I expect Seattle to hard flat again against Matt Barkley and force him to make a throw down the field against this really tough secondary. You have Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, you have Bobby Wagner even playing some great coverage for the Seattle Seahawks defense. Let's see if they put the pressure on Barkley and have him throw into one of those guys. This could be a dangerous moment here for the New Orleans Saints offense. I'd also like to point out that if they don't pick this up, this might be 4th down territory for the New Orleans Saints. They might say, hey, let's keep the ball in our hands and let's have us make a play in overtime right now.
3rd and 3, Matt Barkley under center. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Alvin Kamara in the backfield. It's going to be in the hands of Barkley. Blitz coming, gets it off quickly on the tight end. Can't come up with the catch. It's going to be at the 46-yard line, and it looks like New Orleans is going to... The offense is not coming off the field, Bomber. They want to win this one now, and they trust Matt Barkley in the offense to get this 1st down, 4th and 3 from the 46-yard line. You got to like the call here. Seattle didn't go for 2 to end the game. New Orleans, they're going to go out as a ballsy team one way or another.
I like it. I think they're on their opponent's side of the field. They're still, even if they don't get it, it's still, 20 yards before you really have to worry about a field goal. Maybe 10 yards, okay? What would that take them to there? 46, so maybe 15 yards as I'm doing the math right now.
10 yards will put you in field goal.
Yeah, huge opportunity here for the Saints and the Seahawks defense. Let's see who comes up big here.
Barkley dropping back to pass, looking. He's got a lot of time. He's going to throw it. He has a man. Michael Thomas can't hold on through the contact. Oh, and in that one, Matt Barkley, he had multiple people open and just couldn't recognize which one to throw to. He found Thomas about 2 seconds late because Thomas was wide open over the middle of the field. Now Seattle can win it with a field goal. They only need 20 yards to get into field goal range. And you got to think about the what-ifs. What if it was Ross Bonham thrown instead of Matt Barkley? Because that one was a mistake on the hands of the quarterback.
Yeah, why was he moving? I think he could have set his feet and made that throw to the guy coming across the field, but he waited a little bit too long, a little bit too much panic. That goes back into say the Seattle Seahawks just played such an aggressive blitzing defense today that it really shook the New Orleans Saints offense.
Well, 2:53 to go here in overtime. Russell Wilson dropping back to pass. He looks over the middle of the field. It's another slant route. It is complete to the 46-yard line. Give them 8 yards on the play, bring up a 2nd and 2. If you're New Orleans, you can't play back. You got to press up on these wide receivers and make a play because Seattle only needs a field goal to win this game. And you know Seattle hasn't had a whole lot of trouble moving the ball once they've gotten into enemy territory.
Yeah, so what do you say about 6 more yards, 7 more yards, and you got yourself a pretty, decent field goal range.
35-yard line is a 52-yard field goal. So you're probably looking at the 35, 36, 37. Yeah, about 10 yards maybe, 9 yards. You're not that far away.
Come up big.
Yeah, 2nd and 2. It's going to be a handoff to Thomas Rawls right up the middle and a big tackle made right at the line of scrimmage. Rawls, 15 carries, 47 yards. This was their engine of their offense. New Orleans has done a nice job of keeping him under wraps. Now a 3rd and 2. This is where it gets tough for the Seahawks team, Bomber, because if you play the run too hard, Russell Wilson has been known to make a couple big throws. It doesn't have to go very far. It's only a 3rd and 2.
Same situation that we were just in with the New Orleans Saints. Same down, same distance. Let's see if they're thinking, well, let's take a shot down the field.
Yeah, it's all
let's
spread
see if we
out.
take a shot down the field, and if we don't get it, we're going for it on 4th either way.
Light box here. Wilson in the shotgun. Rawls going in motion. Are they looking for the little screen? Nope. They're looking to the spot, a little spot route, and it's not caught. The New Orleans Saints, they stayed home, and that was a great play by the defense. They stayed home, weren't fooled by the running back running that little mountain screen. And they stayed home and able to make a big hit. Now 4th and 2. What does Seattle do here? Let's see if the offense comes back out on the field because we're looking at the same situation. And the Seattle Seahawks continue to be scared.
They're punting it.
They're scared.
This might be a fake.
Well, they've got the man defense out there if you're New Orleans. Let's see if Seattle decides to fake this one or if they decide to put their defense back on the field, which is their strength. If you're Seattle, you got to think defense is our strength, especially against a weaker New Orleans Saints offense. They're punting it away, and they're going to give up a ton of field position because that's in the end zone. So net 26-yard punt. Bomber?
I think it's a good call. No. Listen.
Okay.
This offense of the New Orleans Saints is so depleted. Your Seattle Seahawks defense is at its strength. You got a healthy defense. You believe you have the top 1-2 defense in the league. You're going to let them run against this B team of this New Orleans Saints depleted offense. And you have to trust your defense. If they go for it there, they're basically saying they do not trust their defense. With the field goal just to beat you now, I think it was kind of a smart move against Matt Barkley and these New Orleans Saints offense. Let's see if it pays out for them playing a more conservative approach.
1st and 10, Matt Barkley under center, minute 43 to go here in overtime. Non-stop action here on the NBL Network. We appreciate everybody hanging with us through this game. Get your friends on here. This is a great finish to a playoff game. As Matt Barkley drops back to pass on 1st and 10, he'll look underneath to Smith, who gets, well, obliterated. Can't hold on to the ball. Probably a good thing anyways, because that wasn't going to go for anything. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10. Bummer. I get the argument. It's your strength. Your defense is your strength. Number 2 defense in the NBL. Number 1 passing defense. But if you are at all, you got to think that this is a sort of a lose-lose situation because if New Orleans goes down, now all they need is field goal. They don't need to get in the end zone. Seattle only needed 9 yards to get into field goal range. If they lose this game, there's going to be a whole lot of talk about how the New Orleans Saints played with confidence, played with a little bit of cojones, and the Seattle Seahawks played scared at home as it's going to be Matt Barkley tossing it underneath. Blair, complete. Going to get near the 1st down, maybe 7 yards on the play. Going to bring up a 3rd and 3.
Here we go, 3rd and 3 for the New Orleans Saints. No, I completely agree. It was definitely a tale of 2 different strategies, 2 different ideas, ways of thinking on the offensive side.
Especially after the bad punt, by the way. The punt into the end zone killed that play.
I think Shadow Rose in the chat made a great point. Maybe take the delay of game and then try to pin them with the punt. But then again, you give them too much space. Your special teams have been playing so great. Maybe theirs comes up with the big play and they take it to the house. I mean, you never really know in these situations what might happen. So you can always look back and say, well, we should have done this, we should have done that. And I guarantee, however this game plays out, whichever team comes out on top, we're going to be saying that about the other team because just 2 different approaches. You have a more of aggressive and more of a conservative approach from both of these teams.
Seattle going to take a timeout there. Didn't like what they saw. Here's the only thing I say. While on one hand you could say, well, that says we have confidence in our defense by punting away. I think that says we don't have confidence in this offensive line that has played great and in Thomas Rawls to get 2 yards. They didn't hand him the ball on 3rd down. They didn't give him a chance on 4th down. I think that sends a bad message to a team that has been run by Thomas Rawls. Rawls has run fantastic when he needed to get the hard yards. You got to trust your running back there, especially when you're 9 yards from being able to win this game. You're giving New Orleans a lot of opportunities here. Now 3rd and 3 for Matt Barkley and the New Orleans Saints. Shotgun formation, 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. Alvin Kamara to his left. On third down, it's going to be Barkley dropping back to pass, looking, has a man over the middle. It's Michael Thomas once again, 6th catch of the day. He's over 100 yards. It's a first down, and New Orleans keeps ticking. This offense that really hasn't been too electric. They've just sort of done what they've had to. Michael Thomas has given them a lot of big catches. That's his 4th catch for a third down conversion.
Yeah, nice patience by Matt Barkley right there. I thought he was going to bail out with the flat, the drag to the tight end. I didn't like it. I saw some coverage issues there. It looked like he ran into the defender, but he stayed in the pocket, stayed strong, stayed upright, and found his man and made a nice throw as they pick up the first down and keep the chains moving.
1st and 10. Barkley dropping back to pass, looking, looks up in the middle of the field, has a man wide open. It's Michael Thomas. They're in field goal range. Oh, and the Seattle faithful are quiet right now as Matt Barkley has come into this game and is trying to deliver a miracle to the New Orleans Saints.
I think Jay-Z said it best. Seattle, your reign on the top was shorter than leprechauns. I think it's over for Seattle right now. I think the New Orleans Saints, all they have to do is a couple runs up the middle and kick this field goal and be on their way.
Watch the clock. 48 seconds. You don't want to take too much time as it's going to be Matt Barkley coming out. I formation, 2 wide receivers. They're on the 32-yard line. It's a 49-yard attempt. They're going to toss it for Alvin Kamara around the outside, trying to find something. He's going to lose a yard on the play. I don't like the toss play there, Bomber. I know Kamara is a speedy back on the outside, but you want to keep this middle of that hash mark, give your kicker a good chance. Those toss plays, they just have too much of an opportunity to go for a loss.
Yeah, I don't want to see a loss. I don't want to see a 3 or 4 yard loss as you saw a defensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks get in the backfield and almost make a play that could have been disastrous. It could have put him at the 37-yard line. Now you're talking a field goal of 54 yards. I mean, there's so many opportunities to go wrong when you toss to go backwards. Initially, I want to see them run downhill and just hand the ball off to Kamara. As a big hole, but a big hit there for the Seattle Seahawks, but it looked like he had a hole to the left.
Yeah, he had a big hole.
Followed right behind that linebacker who was backing up into coverage, and he had an opportunity to make a play there. They're going to be at 3rd and 9.
Yeah, 3rd and 9 now, 14 seconds to go. I don't know why you don't send out the field goal unit right now. If something gets blocked and you are able to recover it, you get another chance at the field goal. I never like seeing a team come out when you need a field goal to win the game, send the offense out there, because if something goes wrong, a fumbled snap, a block, you have an extra down. Instead, they're going to send out the offense once again. Matt Barkley comes out, Alvin Kamara in the backfield, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends on the right side of that formation. 3rd and 9, Barkley under center, looking, surveying this defense. He's going to hand it off to Alvin Kamara over the right side, and Alvin Kamara is going to lose yards on the play. They're going to call him just short of the 32-yard line.
Here we go.
As this clock's going to run down, they're going to need to kick the field goal here, as they're going to take a timeout just before overtime ends. Got to think Seattle's going to be trying to ice the kicker. I don't like the run play there. You set up an opportunity for a fumble. You know Seattle's going for strips. Why not send out the field? Yeah, well, send out the field goal unit. Just kick it on 3rd down, because if you kick it on 3rd down, if something happens, you have 4th down to kick it again.
Absolutely. And
I just don't like setting up for a fumble. This is the game, folks. This is to move on in the playoffs. From the 32-yard line, it's a 49-yard attempt. Ball is down. The kick is up, and it is good. The New Orleans Saints come away with a victory on the road in one of the toughest places to play in Seattle. They win 2017 over that NFC West champion Seattle Seahawks team. Their moxie comes through, and the Seattle Seahawks' choices to play it conservative comes back to bite them. They finish at 7-10, and the Saints move on to the next round.
Yeah, 2 wildcard teams in the NFC come away with road wins against division winners. The Giants did it against the division winner of the NFC East, the Cowboys, the big rivalry game, and now the Saints do it against the Seahawks. The Saints will take on the Atlanta Falcons. The New York Giants will take on the Detroit Lions. We have it all but set. The Oakland Raiders taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC, and we're just awaiting the game between the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills, the division-winning 2-time in a row Buffalo Bills against those tough Cleveland Browns. The winner of that game will determine where they go. I think we're still mixing it up over there in the AFC.
The Raiders are for sure playing the Steelers. So it's
okay. So the winner of the Bills and the Browns is going to go on to take on the Tennessee Titans. So those are all going to be very interesting and tough games for both of those, for all 4 of those games left in this season. So wow, congratulations to all the teams left. What a game! And can we say anything about Matt Barkley? He made some really nice throws towards the end of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. What a game here on NBL Live. What a way to kick off the playoffs here on the network. Overtime in the wild card game. The New Orleans Saints coming out on top over the Seattle Seahawks. It's time to make our selection for the NBL Live Player of the Game for broadcast number 160. A reminder, you can check out all of our Player of the Game selections on our website, 365.maddenbarmerleague.com. Under the NBL Live tab, you can check them back all the way to broadcast number 1. Bomber, I mean, again, Tevin, it'll be interesting to see where the Saints team goes with all these injuries, because Tevin Coleman was on pace to have a player of the game. Ross Bonham, Matt Barkley doing a great job coming in, but the one player that I go back to over and over, Michael Thomas, made big catches after big catches, especially on third down, and he made that big catch that got him into field goal territory. He'd be my choice. Any disagreement on that one?
Yeah, 7 catches for about $140. For Michael Thomas, you got to go with him. He stayed consistent even though the quarterback position did not. So big win for the New Orleans Saints as they kick a clutch field goal in overtime to win NBL Live broadcast number 160. They defeat the Seattle Seahawks in the wild card round 20-17. I'm a bit surprised, but I'm happy that going 7-9 doesn't make you a playoff contender in the NBL anymore. That gimmick is over. You got to put in the work in the regular season. You have to be a good team, because just riding on your experience and your lack of division competitiveness is not going to get you far anymore, as the teams have came up in the wild card. The New Orleans Saints, they've came out of nowhere. I mean, this was a team 2 seasons ago we weren't really talking about, but look how phenomenal they played today against a very, very tough and experienced, playoff experienced Seattle Seahawks team.
Yeah, what a game we had here on NBL Live. A reminder, all you folks out there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you know when we go live, or go follow us on Twitter at Bomber League. We'll announce the game once everything goes final. We have those matchups set, and we have some talks about scheduling. We'll announce that game on our Twitter, but it'll be tomorrow night, divisional round matchup. Bomber, final thoughts, Saints coming out on top in overtime. It'll be interesting to see where the Saints team goes. Again, how many of these injuries are long-term, but they proved a lot today on the road in a hostile environment, beating the Seattle Seahawks. And what a way to kick off playoffs here on the NBL Network.
Absolutely. Go to @NBL_NOLA, NOLA, to check out all the information about these series and if they're going to have long-lasting effects on the next round for your NBL New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, well, we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in to Broadcast 160. We got a lot of playoffs to go, but it's going to be tough to top this one. For my co-host, Bomber, I'm OSU. Once again, your final score in overtime. The New Orleans Saints topping the Seattle Seahawks 20-17. We'll see you tomorrow night. Divisional round matchup right here on NBL Live.